Hello, buddy. My name is Eric, and today we're going to be taking a look at a strange malware that I was sent via email from someone who noticed something suspicious on a USB flash drive. So this story is strange. So he went to a copy shop to get some documents photocopied. And when he came back, he discovered that his flash drive now had malware on it. If I was guessing how this was achieved, I'm going to imagine, because it wouldn't make a lot of sense for the shop owner to be doing this for extra money. So my guess is that some customer either intentionally set this up at the shop or maybe had unintentionally downloaded this malware and put it on the flash drive, and the machine that actually does the photocopying must run Windows somewhere. So here's essentially how the malware works, at least the first stage. We'll look at what the executable actually does in a second. So if this doesn't exist, well, then that's probably... There is another payload here. This is essentially the piece that matters, is it checks to see if this file, printui.exe, exists. It then looks to see if printui.dll exists, and what it does is it infects the printer functionality on your system. So it replaces printui.dll with the malicious payload, which is this .dat file, which is going to be renamed to printui.dll. There's also a VBS, which does some more things. Now, as we can go and see, if we go to system32, we can see that the original printui.dll is a legitimate file, as is the exe. So here we go. This is the legitimate Microsoft DLL. So I'm just going to copy this somewhere safe. Print back so that when we run this, we'll be all right. The VBS script is what actually handles infecting other flash drives plugged into this system so that the malware can repeat itself. But it's the batch file that is the core payload. So let me just open printui so you can see what it does by default. And now, install the batch file. And now we can take another look at this. That doesn't look like it worked. Oh no, I was actually reading that. Okay, so what I think it's doing then is it's actually creating a fake directory, a fake Windows directory. And it seems like it's now loaded a new payload in here called console0. Now we can upload this to VirusTotal, but I haven't disabled Defender, and this thing is just going, so I'm not necessarily optimistic that it's going to catch it. Okay, we are getting some hits. One of them is even saying that this is behaving like a rootkit, which is interesting. See if any of the sandboxes caught anything. Defense evasion. Nope. No obvious hits as to how this thing is working. Okay, this is actually really glitchy. I just tried running the command, and okay, so we can make... Okay, no, that was my... So, because if you click the fake windows in Explorer, both of them go to the real Windows file, despite the fact that that should be impossible. It even keeps the path of the fake, despite the fact that this is not the real Windows. Yeah, okay. So, okay, this is kind of clever. So there's a bug with Windows paths that allows it to create a fake system, essentially a fake system32. And the fake system32, well then, I'm just going to tweak that so that the command will run despite that check failing. I'm just going to run these manually because it seems really finicky. Okay, done. And then this dat file has to be renamed to printui.dll. Now let's go over to sysinternals and run procmon to actually see how this whole system works. So we run this. Well, and then this doesn't require a UAC prompt because it's a system file. And now it's in. Okay, process start. And here it loads the fake one. It reads some registry, opens some keys. Okay, let's see if it does anything particularly interesting. It opens. And once again, it goes for the open language configuration, which is kind of bizarre, but it wants to know, it wants to make sure that our language is not Russian before running the malicious payload. Okay, it's opening crypto functions. Okay. It tries to open more files that, as far as I can see, are not created. Write file. Okay, that's a bit... So it seems to write... Let's just see. We go back. Oh, it deletes the fake system32 itself. Now, let's look at this parent PID, see what that's doing. Okay, so that's just Explorer, so that's not necessarily... Now, it's always worth checking to see if this payload has managed to install itself anywhere to preserve itself. And if it hasn't... Okay, so console 0 seems to be the only payload that it has. So, oh. Services, okay. So it might be worth rebooting this system to actually see how bad this infection really is. And okay, so it installs this DAT file into real system32. Now, I imagine we may see some interesting activity once we restart. And here is the malicious service. It's running under this particular service host.exe. Now, service host.exe is a legitimate process, but because it is the service host, it is possible to run malicious things under it. Seems like we've got some ports open, which is sort of interesting. Then we got a task host W, a Microsoft Edge update.exe, which is, we can say with a pretty high degree of certainty that this is not going to be a legitimate version of that. It's not able to find the path. Oh no, here it is. And we can see where this file is installed. This could... Okay, and now console_0 has closed itself, but it may come back. The trigger is the logon of any user, so I'm just going to manually run it and see what it does. Okay, so it starts. Of course, a lot of these are just going to be default Windows things, but now we can try and get an idea. It's hitting a lot of crypto libraries. It's hitting libcurl, which means it's going to do some sort of external networking. Oh, query name info. Okay. Reg open key, image file execution options. Oh, and now it's opening prompt runs with PID 9372, so we add that to the filter. And here it goes into task scheduler, and it seems to just be validating that it is already set to run itself. Seems to be all that CMD does. So then we can go back to this and see what else it... So it uses a command prompt to validate that it's automatically going to run. So whatever payload is seemingly running from this file... Oh, and just suddenly, right before the thing closed, we start seeing a bunch of strange IPs. Now, ultimately, it seems like it's using a very stealthy network method. Now, I don't quite understand what it could possibly be doing with these IPs. I'm seeing them in Wireshark as well near the end of its execution, but those seem to just be ordinary Microsoft IPs. So unless there's some sort of very sneaky exploit here, I'm not quite able to figure out what data is being sent. It seems to use custom encryption, but this is a very sneaky piece of malware. I am going to guess it is some sort of spyware purely on the fact that it does nothing visual. It's not ransomware, and there's no other plausible explanation. It doesn't stay running, so it's not a rat. So I am going to declare this as some sort of stealer just off of the way it works. One of the weirder malware samples I've ever seen. I've heard of malware distributing through autorun, but this is sort of a modern twist on an old scam. So that is going to be all for this video. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any ideas about this sample, or if you enjoyed or didn't like the video. Any feedback is always appreciated. Bye.